What is going on, boys? Bar Down Breakdown, episode 165, and we got a special one. We got Cordy, right? That's what they're calling you on the streets of Canada these days. We got Cordy from Stereos, and we got Jacob from On the Bench. What a special episode. The boys are just crushing it right now with their new single, Bad Days, that is making their debut on YouTube, on Sportsnet, like you name it. They're just crushing it, and we had to get them on the pod. So, boys, I hear we got a bunch of snow, so fill us in. What's going on? I know, Jacob, you're in Calgary, and Patty, you're in Edmonton, right?
Yeah, Battle of Alberta in human form, me versus Jacob, right away.
Literally. First, I just got to apologize for the ugly clothes I'm wearing. The cowboy hat and like plaid, that's at the dry cleaner because I got a big tourney in Chicago. So hopefully there's some scouts there. I'm just trying to look good, so I have to wear this garbage right now.
You look good. You look better than I do, and it's hard to compete against Cordy over there, just the man rocket. So,
just a white t-shirt, baby.
Honestly, only good thing to come out of Edmonton. I'll give you that.
You got calling all captains. They're crushing it. So definitely, we got some good tunes coming out of Edmonton right now. Nicholas Rage too is another one that I've recently got turned on to from Edmonton.
Totally, man. There's still, I will say this, it kind of all ties into what you just mentioned. Like, yes, it's snowing, it's April, we're all ready for, spring, summer, whatever. But I will say this, towns in Canada that have particularly terrible weather, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario, tons of good bands come out because there's actual music scenes. And I'm not even joking. I think there's nothing to do in the winter. It sucks so bad. So you all go in a hall and play shows. Doesn't matter what genre. So that is the one good thing about terrible weather. I hate it still, and I still want to move as soon as possible. I never want to spend another winter in here again if I don't have to, but it's good for the kid.
I think the only downside from those cities that you mentioned is the touring. Like when you actually have to hit the road and tour, it's kind of tough when you're coming from Calgary. That there's 8 to 10 hour drives between cities, which could make it a little rough.
Oh, I've done it way too many times, man. And even like when we got like pretty big the first time, like 2009-ish, and we were like, oh my God, we're like signed. We have a booking agent, no more touring in the winter. And it was the opposite. They're like, no, that's the best time to tour. It's when people go to shows. So we were screwed. And they sent us on the Rogers Pass in the middle of winter in a van and trailer, and then a bus when we got to that size all the time. And you just like basically feel like you're going to die every day.
Yeah, it could be brutal. So I guess let's just jump right into it because, like I said, this is a special episode. You guys are fresh off the release of your collaboration. And I just want to hear kind of the story of how this came to be because, Cordy sent this song to me, like had to be at least 6 months ago. Like it was done and like video done and everything. And you guys have been sitting on it for a little while. So I'm sure like the idea got cooking even well before that. So I'm curious how you guys linked up and how this song came to be. Whoever wants to jump in.
Super Canadian, which is unbelievable. Met through the IIHF, and you guys were heading back to Edmonton from Calgary, right?
Yeah.
So we met at a Tim Hortons. It was like -10 Celsius, snowing, kind of crummy. We're just crushing liquid fire. I'm like, hey, let's make a song. And we don't have any business being in the music industry. So it was like, I didn't know how they'd take it, but I'm super stoked that they're like, yeah, let's do it. And the song, honestly, I don't think could have turned out better personally. I think it's going to get legs, and we're going octo plat for sure.
It's a funny story. I don't even know if I told you guys, Jacob, but when we actually, we were just like meeting up over DMs, bro. Like we didn't even have each other's number at that point, I don't think. And you said, yeah, the let's go to the Tim Hortons in Airdrie. And I know one that I always hit. So we went to this one. I floored it the night before in Calgary, like just floored it. I got back to the hotel like 20 minutes before we met you guys. And we're waiting for you guys, trying to like see when you guys are showing up. And I'm like, oh man, I don't feel so good. So I pound this like orange Gatorade. I'm like, I'll start feeling better. Dude, I'm like looking around, seeing when you guys show up. You guys are pretty like recognizable dudes. And I'm like, they got to show up. And I couldn't hold it anymore. And I had these mint green, like almost white, but they're like mint green Adidas shoes, dude. And they were not cheap and they're so nice. I painted them orange. I just threw up everywhere. And then I was like, I wonder if these guys are like, saw this and left or whatever. And then we DM and you're like, oh no, dude, the other Tim Hortons in Airdrie. And so then we headed over there and I had to like change my shoes to like some terrible other ones I have. But yeah, I was feeling very, very sick. So anything you guys would have pitched at that point, I would have been down with just to try and get home and get some sleep.
That's so funny. I love that. That's why you need cowboy boots. It just rolls right off, you know?
There you go, man. I learned my lesson. I gave up drinking instead, but next time, you know, who knows? Cowboy boots.
Also a smart play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jacob's like, yeah, now you tell me this. I had the norovirus like 2 days after our meeting. Now I know where I got it from.
Dude,
Yeah, no doubt.
Like banged up.
Oh, boys. So I guess, you know, other than meeting at a Tim Hortons and kind of pitching this idea, like how did it then logistically work? Like, did you guys like self-record it like remotely and then kind of send it to your engineer and they put it together? Or did you guys actually go into the studio together and record this?
We hit the studio, man. And it's actually a crazy story. So I wrote Bad Times with 2 other guys in Toronto, like now last November. So over a year before we met these guys. And we always really liked the song. In fact, it was a real throwback to our first album sound, I think, like with the like real rock pop and some, but like just some like glossy pop tunes. And we loved the song, but it really didn't fit with the album we were throwing together. So we had the song we loved. And as soon as we met them in Airdrie, I called my manager. He suggested, like, dude, what about Bad Times? Just sitting there. I was like, oh my God, that's the move. So what we did is we actually sent it to a guy named Dan Davidson, who the On the Bench boys are familiar with. He's like a country music artist, but he's a great pop producer and he has a great pop ear. And we all got together in his studio in Edmonton. I think I was hungover then again, wasn't I, man? I met you guys.
I think so.
Yeah, I was in rough shape again. Anyways, and then we went in the studio and just like put down the gang vocals. And this is a story I love telling because people ask, like, well, what's it like making a song with guys who don't typically do music? And my favorite part of this whole thing is, you know, we started getting them to lay down their vocals, and then Dan Davidson's doing his magic, and he starts like putting the mix in, putting some like reverb on the vocals, and we realized, man, the song's sounding good. And it was actually Oli. He's like, boys, we're gonna win an Emmy, and I'm like, dude, that's not even at all what you would win for a song, though. That's like a daytime TV thing, and you could tell that he thought I was dumb. For like. And I was like, yeah, I know. Maybe it'll win something. But they were, you guys, honestly, I'm not even just saying this to pump your tires. Their parts were like so quick. They got them right away because it's them, dude. It was just it was perfect, man. I love, there's not enough, like that's my golden age of pop. I love like 2009, 2010, where it was like rap features in the bridge on like heavier kind of sounding pop song. That's what I love. So we kind of brought that back to life.
Love that. So I guess Jacob, you know, Cordy had his peak in the pop and you know pop punk scene in like the 2009 2010 time frame. Like, were you familiar with Stereos and Summer Girls and some of their hits?
I had definitely heard some of the tunes. That would have been just after high school, so like the start of like the club scene. But yeah, definitely they were bangers. So, and the person from IIHF that put us in touch had mentioned their name. And I was like, I know that name. Looked up a few of their songs. And I was like, oh, yeah, I definitely heard these songs. And they would bump them in at like Crack Alley, Back Alley in Calgary, stuff like that. Anywhere that was the buzzing place. And yeah, it was pretty cool getting to meet these boys and actually get back in, like, do something like this where we really don't belong, but I mean, we'll open any door at least once. Hell
yeah. And you know, you guys are going to be going to the Junos. Hopefully the Junos will be in person and you guys will be accepting an award in no time.
100%. That's an easy dub. Easy dub.
Just gotta, you know, I hear Alexis on Fire is making a comeback and putting out some new tunes, so you might have to go up against them.
Yeah, well, this song's gonna put their fire out.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you heard it here first, and I'll clock any one of them, any day they name it. I'm the
All right.
fighter of the group.
I love
Love
it.
it. Hell yeah.
We also
So
have Bob.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's now talk into the actual release, because you guys got some momentum going, and like obviously here in the States, we don't get Sportsnet. Like, so like we didn't get obviously to see the debut like when it happened live, but getting that song to debut on Sportsnet is like unbelievable, especially in Canada. Like the amount of eyeballs that probably landed on that last night is probably in the millions. So like, how did you guys link up with Sportsnet? Like, I'm sure that you guys have done stuff in the past with them, but like when you pitched them this song, like for them to actually take you guys seriously and to put it on like national television.
So with what we do, we actually have a relationship contract, if you will, whatever, with Sportsnet. And it was realistically not technically supposed to happen. But because we've done a lot with them, we've worked with all of them, we know them, and we're currently in a contract with them. They had a spot open up for last night, texted us, what was it, Friday? And was like, okay, you guys have about 6 hours to do this video, send it to us, or you're going to lose your spot on the show. And we're like, well, I just make it work. And I mean, as hockey guys, it's all about read and react. I'm sure there's a lot. I mean, in music, there's got to be parts where you're missing stuff or you fudge up a word, stuff like that. So you got to read and react and roll with it. And that's all it really was. You just, as soon as it happens, just let her buck and make it happen.
Yeah, it seems like it moved quick, and you guys like you said, made it happen. And you didn't have much notice, but when you have an opportunity like that, you got to make it work.
Oh, every single time. It's one of those feelings that, I mean, as a Canadian hockey fan, even with what I do, those are the feelings that never go away. They never change. They never are not surreal. So every time someone gives you that phone call to do something like that, you're like, God, this can't get better. And then it does.
So
Yeah.
I guess let's kind of talk about that, because you guys have been doing this for about 5-6 years at this point. And when you have those moments where you're like, there's nothing that's going to top this, nothing that's going to top this, and then it just keeps happening, and like it's too like super surreal. And I do these things called Isles meetups that started here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I've just get together with Islander fans to watch games, and it slowly has spread to now we have groups all over the country. And when the Islanders open the brand new arena this season, they actually have our logos hanging right there in the arena. Like,
let's go.
yeah, so like having that happen, I felt like was like the pinnacle. But then like there's been other moments where I actually got to go sit in the box with John Ledecky and watch an Islander game. Like there's always those moments, and then like something keeps topping it, and you're like, when is this going to end? So I guess kind of talk on some of like your favorite moments that have come out of On the Bench, where you're like, I can't believe this is my life. Like this is for a kid in Canada who just truly loves hockey, it's got to be just like you can't even think of it. Like you can't even put words to it.
It's absolutely mind-blowing. And you're right, you can't actually, there's nothing I can do to describe the way that it feels, although I know that you guys each have similar feelings, just in different parts of what you guys do, right? So we all know exactly how it feels, we just can't describe it. For me, one of the coolest, there's and so many, but one of the coolest things, touching on like the hockey fan, the kid, we all collected hockey cards and stuff like that. And Upper Deck actually produced hockey cards for us. And we've never played a single game pro. We aged out in junior B, like we were in the jungle. We got no business being there. And then, yeah, one day Upper Deck's like, hey, you guys want your own hockey cards? We'll send them to you. You have to sign them all, so they're all one-offs. We're like, yeah, okay. And then we got to do stuff like the music. Like the first song that we wrote, and why I wanted to work with stereos was because I wrote essentially a poem, put it over one of Justin Bieber's beats, and sent it to a guy in Minnesota. And that's how we got that one. I was like, I want more. It's never enough. I want more. So that's where that started. And then we got to be in the room with some of the biggest NHL players. We've got to play against some of the biggest NHL players. I mean, I got hip checked by Radko Gudas, and that's like remarkable to me. I think that's so cool.
Oh yeah, like and you guys have taken some pretty decent hits from, you know, like you said, the superstars in the league, and like I'm sure it didn't feel so great the next morning, but you know, when you think about like the fact that these, you know, guys that you I wouldn't say idolize, but like are the face of the sport that you love, are like interacting with you and like are I'm sure fans of the content that you guys create, like that's got to be so freaking cool too.
It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. It's yeah. The first pro that we ever actually met, Drew Doughty. He's my favorite player. I had 6 Flames jersey and a Drew Doughty jersey. First time we meet him, he walks in the door. I was like, oh shit, it's Drew Doughty. Like that's my boy. Like that's who I look up to. He's my D-man. And he comes up and he's like, boys, can I get a photo? And I was like, are you serious, dude? You literally just ruined that for me? Like, you were the guy I watched, and you're asking for a photo with me. Like, don't ever do that again. But it was like, I didn't even know what to say. I was like, yeah, obviously we can have a photo but I want one too, if that's cool. So it's crazy. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, and I'm sure like as the years have gone by, you've probably met so many where it's like maybe it takes away like a little bit of that specialness like that you had that first time. So like I guess I'll ask Patrick and then I'll ask you this and I'll kind of flip it a little bit. So like, you know, obviously Patrick runs in the circles in the music scene, so he's probably met tons and tons of artists that, you know, you and I probably look up to and like, oh, I can't believe, you know, he's bumping elbows with them. So like, Patrick, what's a hockey player that you've kind of crossed paths with because of your music career where you're like, I can't believe this is freaking happening?
Yeah, I do have one of those. I think like I have an exact same story as Jacob too, where we played a festival with Simple Plan, and Pierre came up to us, was like, "What's up, guys? I love your song. Like I've heard it everywhere all summer, and I love it." And like literally, that's one of the bands where I watched their DVD and was like, That's what made me transition from. I started out in punk, then I did some screamo, then I started doing pop punk, and Simple Plan was like, "Man, I think I want to do pop music." And that was like one of the things where I was like, and he came out to us, the exact same thing. And it was just like mind blowing. Now, I will say this, I literally can't tell any of the stories like on this, like while we're like recording, but I'll happily tell them to you privately. But we did a festival at like Muskoka. You maybe have been there, Jacob. Like it's like lake country in Northern Ontario. It was like a wake, sick festival, man. Just like summer, whatever. And it's like in a really like nice area in Ontario. And we were just passing by this like mansion party. One guy's like, dude, I love your band. He's obviously like just buckled. He's like, come party. And one of his best high school, or like his friend, like he played minor hockey with this guy growing up, was at the party, and it was PK Subban. And multiple times over the years that I lived in Toronto was friends. Oh, by the way, we ended up being like super good friends with this guy who like, and so it would literally just be sometimes just chilling out, man. Like it would be like a Sunday watching football. And if, you know, we would be hanging out with them, and sometimes PK would be around, you know, especially when it was not the season, like in the summers, if we were hanging out with them. And it was just like, that was super cool. But then we did the MMVAs, like the video awards and stuff. And, you know, we'd see hockey players who really wanted nothing to do with us, but at least we we're at the same parties as them, to be honest.
Hell yeah. So
That's
now,
crazy.
Jacob, to mix it up a little bit, like, you know, I'm sure in Calgary, you guys are probably huge country music fans, or maybe are into the pop punk and alternative scene. But like, have you crossed paths with any like music artists that you were like, I can't believe I'm interacting with this person right now because of, you know, on the bench?
Absolutely. I'm gonna make it quick. I gotta go for my COVID quiz right away here. The first one, the coolest one for me, because I was a huge fan, was actually Dan Davidson. And so it was super early. And we're actually working with Brett Kissel, which I was a big fan of him too. But when I found out Dan was going to be there, his song, I was blasting his song "Found" and "Barn Burner." Literally every second song on my playlist, just to the nines in the truck, rolling down the back roads. Classic. And so we met him. I was like, "Oh dang, like that's Dan Davidson." So I get a photo with him, and then I'm like doing something else, and Steve or Oli, he's like telling Dan, he's like, "Oh, he's like a really big fan of your stuff." And Dan's like, "Really?" And Steve was like saying like, "Yeah, like let's do it all the time, blah, blah, blah." Dan thought it was his like punk band or like screamo band, whatever it was prior. And he's like, "Oh, you like," I can't remember the name. He's like, "You like that band?" I was like, "No, I don't know who that is, dude." I was like, I like your shit. And he's like, "That is me." I was like, "I don't know them. I like your country stuff. Let's keep it that."
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. So before we let you go, Jacob, real quick, let's just hear a quick prediction. Playoffs will be starting any day. Who we got? I think I heard you guys are pumping the Florida Panthers tires, thinking that the NHL wants them to go far. So
Yeah.
I could see that. I think that, growing the game of hockey in Florida makes sense, especially with so many Northerners moving there. So I could see where you're coming from, but let's just hear it on the pod. What are you thinking for these playoffs?
I'm going to say Calgary, Florida in the finals. Florida's going to take it in 7. That's what I'm going with. And I'm not going to be upset because my boy Sam Bennett's playing down in Florida, and he's an absolute wrecking ball. So if he gets to hoist the cup, I'm definitely going to his house this summer.
So is that going to give you flashbacks to the last time Calgary was in the cup? Because it wasn't the Panthers, it was the Lightning, and they won kind of a controversial game that kind of, I guess, for Flames fans, feels like they stole the cup from you.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I'm going to try and take away all the positives. So I'm going to cheer for my friends, makes it a little more like easy to bear with hard losses, So it's all about just making up excuses. Like every time you fan on a shot, it's the stick or it's high tide, new moon. There's always something wrong. So that's just what we're going to roll with on this one.
Hell yeah. Well, Jacob, dude, thank you for stopping by. We truly appreciate it. And, definitely go and check out the new single, Bad Days. And we'll stick around and talk and pick Cordy's brain a little bit more, but we'll let you go get your COVID quiz and safe travels to, you said Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah. The
All
Big
right,
Apple.
well, say the Big Apple. I don't think that's correct, but we can roll with it. Thanks again, brother, and we'll be in touch, man. Take care.
Yeah, everybody. Thanks, boys. See you, Cody.
Yeah, man.
So, Patrick, let's keep this conversation going because the single is definitely a club banger, and it's it's got like those punk elements. It also then has like the Andy Samberg, and I can't remember what, Lonely Island, right? That's what they're called.
Great,
So
yeah.
it's got those vibes. It brings it all, and it's just it's a fun track, which with the title could be kind of misleading or deceiving. You see a title, Bad Days, and you might think that like, oh, maybe this is an emo song or something, but it's not. It makes you definitely bop along to it, and it's just all positive and fun. And I guess what else is on the horizon for the single, because right now it's only up on YouTube at least to my knowledge. So like, what are we thinking? We're gonna ride out the YouTube train?
Yeah, man, we're gonna see like how things go. So like we have noticed since we got back together as a band, like Stereos, in the last like I guess year and a half, 2 years, like most of that's been in COVID. So we haven't really had an opportunity to do what we wanted to do. We had a tour that was planned all March that had to get pushed to the fall now. And so it's all about doing things outside the box, to be completely honest. I find that if you try to, it's changed so much since we used to be kicking at it. And thankfully we have like a young manager. So he kind of has his ear to the ground a little bit more than us, but I think to answer your question, we're going to keep it on YouTube for now, just direct all the attention in one spot. Obviously, On the Bench, their whole medium is visual. And so we're going to keep it there. I definitely want to release it this summer on Spotify, but we're going to kind of play it by ear, man. Like it's already, again, we, like you kind of alluded to it, we sat on this song for so long, and then the release had to kind of be within a 4-day span that we weren't expecting. So we weren't able to maybe put as much into like all the different facets, Spotify, iTunes, and all that stuff, but it'll definitely be available on those platforms like at some point. We just wanted to get it out to kind of jump on that opportunity with the Sportsnet and be on national TV, which was really cool. I joked about it on Twitter. If I can quit hockey at the age of 15 because I sucked once we started hitting each other, and still end up on a nationally televised like hockey program, then anyone can. So it should be motivating for everyone out there. And then we're just gonna kind of see what happens next.
Hell yeah. And then, I got to bring up the one, lyric where you kind of pay homage to the Jay-Z lyric, but you say you have 97 problems, which is, obviously a McDavid reference. And, I'm guessing, it with a song that plays on Sportsnet, one of his buddies probably caught it and might have sent him that clip. So like, have you heard word that it made its way over to McDavid or any of those boys yet?
It's so funny you say that, man. Like Rob and I joke about it, but we're kind of not joking. We've been saying this for years. To answer your question, no, I haven't. But like literally, we can't stop playing music until the Oilers know who we are. And so like that, we're waiting for that day where like we have this funny story. We were we came up right at the same time. We were nominated for the same Juno as Arkells, a band that is now since like blown up. And they deserve everything they've received, man. They're such a good band. But since we were like kind of neck and neck up for the same Juno, they won the Juno and then they went like that. And then we basically broke up. We've seen that like the Oilers, like Nurse and stuff is a huge fan and will go to their concerts and stuff. And so we're extremely jealous. I won't lie. And we're not going to stop until we get that same love. And so it might be even more pathetic than it is now. We might be, in our 60s one day, still making pop music, trying to get the Oilers at that point, who will still be 20 somethings to notice us. So I won't stop until they do. And if anyone hates us, they better hope the Oilers notice us soon, because we're not going away until that happens.
I love that, man. And, I think you got to just keep shooting it, man. That's really the name of the game. And eventually the right person is going to hear it, and then it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I have faith. I think that there's like, this wasn't, how do I put this? It wasn't lost on us that we would be reaching a hockey specific market that we don't have access to by partnering with the On the Bench guys. It happened that they're like the best dudes of all time. But like obviously we saw the opportunity right away where it was like, man, this is really going to open us up to, just a whole side of like, you can go after pop fans or you can target to like different music things, but why not go outside the box and just see what happens? And it's already, if nothing else happens with this song, that feature, dude, like I'm not even joking. Like we've had some crazy moments in music, but to see our song cut to the footage of, it shows me taping my mic and it cuts right to Jamie Benn taping his stick in the hockey highlight package with my song. Dude, that's like incredible. It's already created an opportunity for us that we never would have had just by doing things the traditional way over and over and over, which I love.
Dude, it just speaks volumes to you guys just grinding it out, man. And you're doing this for many, many, many years. So like it comes with all the experience and knowing how to kind of, in this day and age, playing like the social media twist a little bit and, collaborating with other people who are content creators as well. And, it's the name of the game. You got to kind of stand out a little bit in a very kind of saturated market. Like it really is very saturated.
100%, man. And it's, you're not wrong. And we've always had that mentality too. Cause like people who don't really know how we started, like we are a pop band, and I won't even say we're pop rock, we're pop. But we started out like just hoping to get in a van and tour in, we started in the punk scene. And so we've always had that work ethic. We're like, kind of do whatever it takes. And when I started going to shows, man, it was never one genre. It was metal bands playing with pop punk bands, playing with like indie bands, playing with like, like hardcore bands. And they're all in the same bill. They toured together. And so nowadays I feel like it's a little more tribal and that people are like, this is the genre. But I think that we had such a good experience in the scene we grew up in and like just flexed all these different musical muscles, for lack of a better term, that it makes us willing to just kind of do whatever it takes. Because at the end of the day, you know, there were people who swore that CDs were going to be here forever. So you can adapt or you can not adapt. But like, I think just being like stubborn about your way of doing things is just A, boring, and B, not the path towards, like, you never know the opportunities you're going to get by just thinking outside the box and then letting opportunities kind of come to you through that mindset.
Amen, brother. Now, you know, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, and
Yeah.
I almost forgot about it, but you know, it must have been like at least a year ago. You guys did all the like national anthems for the like the was it the World Juniors or like a
Dude. So that's
one
how
of
we
those tournaments, right?
That's how we met on the bench, dude, is because we were hired as, like, for lack of a better term, influencers to promote the World Hockey Championships because
Okay,
they were
that's yeah.
colliding with the NHL playoffs because of the COVID delay. So they brought on the bench, and then they brought on us as like the musical thing. I'm so thankful for that opportunity because it got us the on the bench connection, which turned into what we're talking about today. So if nothing else, it was great. And also that they believed in us. Now, I will say this, what they had us do were these acoustic, like, goal songs for each country, bro. And there's like 16, I want to say. People hated them. Like, hated them. And I kind of like, I don't know. I had to put so much time into that, dude. Like, I was like Googling like capital city. Like, how do I make a song about Latvia?
I
know
was
what I mean?
just
Like,
gonna say Latvia
dude,
too.
like Belarus and like all these things. Like, I didn't know what I was talking about. I was like going on like Google Translate for like the word for like hooray and stuff, man. Like, I had no what I was doing. And people were like, first couple, I will say this, Kazakhstan, like players and fans loved us. And like, we're so stoked that we would like give them some attention because they probably don't get a lot of that from the international hockey community. But it was like the second song we put out. So we're like, dude, this is sick. People love it. Oh my God, did it go downhill from there? Like, people are like, literally, they were like, I'll stop. I'm going to never watch hockey again if you keep posting these. And it was like, where can I Venmo these guys to stop posting these and stuff like that? Yeah, they hated them. But you know what? Again, I'm glad that we got the opportunity to turn it into what we did with On the Bench. It would be like asking On the Bench to not do hockey content, but do dance routines. It's like, yeah, it's music, but it's not at all what we do. And I remember trying to be like, well, what if we like did some like content stuff around how to write like a goal song? Nah, man, they wanted 16 jingles. And it's like, oh God, yeah. Again, thankful for the opportunity, but they wore thin on people, I think.
Dude, but it just like when you're telling me this story about Kazakhstan, like it reminded me of that documentary. I think it was called like Finding Sugar Man. Did you ever see
Yeah.
that one?
Yeah.
Where he like put out this album in the 70s and it totally flopped here in the United States, but like in South Africa was like the Beatles. Like he literally was like the Beatles of South Africa. Like, what would you do if 10, 15 years down the road, you might not even maybe be doing music, and all of a sudden you find out, like, in Kazakhstan, you guys are like the Justin Bieber of Kazakhstan.
Hey, man, I'm getting on the first flight. I've, it's obviously kind of like a funny situation to imagine, dude. If you can get any like international market to kind of love your stuff, that's the ticket. We have friends right now. They're a band. They do decent here, I think. Neon Dreams. We're friends on social media, but they're huge in South Africa. Like you mentioned, South Africa specifically, they're like doing so great. I think they like live down there now. And man, like my goal is to make a living doing what I love doing because there's literally nothing else I want to do. And it might sound like cliche or like cheesy, and it probably does. But like, dude, after the pandemic, man, I gotta wake up and be like, this is what I'm gonna do because I had a job in HR and I was sitting in a cubicle. And if people like doing that, that's amazing. You know, it's I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So, dude, I'm going to Kazakhstan if that happens.
I love that, dude. That's awesome. Yeah, I gotta try to find all those different goal songs. And you said for like the United States, it was more of like a country song.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to make it country. Like, I don't know if it was any good. I tried to make it like Florida Georgia Line, who I actually love. I don't care what anyone says. They got nothing but bangers.
Hey, dude, you know that like some of the young studs that might be playing in the NHL in a couple of years, they at least heard those goal songs during that tournament. So like,
Oh my
there's
God.
connections, dude.
You're giving me like sort of like one of those catch-22, like, deal with the devil type things where I said I can stop and be happy if the Oilers know our music. I didn't specify which music. So that's hilarious, bro. Like if they're like, yeah, I know you guys and I absolutely hate your music because it's all just country like songs about different countries, right? That's what you guys do. And I'd have to stick to my word, but I'd be very sad.
Oh gosh, that's great though. It's content at the end of the day, good or bad. That's
It's
the world we live in.
totally. And like I had a lot of fun doing it. I really did.
And like you said, dude, it's a killer opportunity. It's how you met the on the bench dudes. Like you got to just take the positive with that for sure.
Totally, man. It's so funny because, like I said, I'm actually just like repeating myself, but like already because of what happened yesterday, it was worth it. It was so worth it, and then some. Like it was such a cool, and like the IIHF has been like really cool with us. Like the World Juniors were supposed to be here over over December, obviously, and that got delayed. Well, because of COVID, but we were going to be doing a show that was because of that connection too, which is like obviously that is what we do. The live show is the best part about being in a band, and so there's still like that connection is still very much been a great one for us. So I am very thankful.
Oh, dude, I hope that happened. Like I heard that it's coming back. Like
it is in August. I don't know if we're going to be able to be involved in any way at that time, but it's coming back to Edmonton in August, and I'm excited about that. Just for the kids, man. To have another crack at they put so much time into this. So I hope it's able to go off without a hitch.
And I did hear some rumblings, like especially with this past Olympics, that maybe that's on its way out, and they're gonna bring back that like the World Championship or whatever they called it a couple of years ago that they did, which I thought was spectacular. And
100%, dude. Like you want to see the best players in the world like playing each other. I don't personally care if it's in whatever country gets the Olympics for whatever weird way they go about selecting host countries. You know what I mean? I think it would kind of, and if you think about it, man, it also does give an extra opportunity to the guys who are not NHL players to keep making the Olympic teams, keep them as amateurs. And then just have this the World Cup of hockey like we had before. I think that's a great idea. I would love that so much, man. And I think the players would be into it too.
They were into it. And then you had like that Team North America, which was made of like the rookies or they had like less than 3 years experience. And it was just like the now current faces of the NHL, like the superstars, were kind of just like becoming household names at that point. And and some of those guys probably wouldn't have made the Olympic rosters if it was like the traditional Olympic style formatting. So
totally,
I hope that they bring it back, man. I heard some rumblings, and maybe they'll get you to do the goal songs for that and like give you a little more freedom.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of goal songed out. I mean, never say never. I won't say no to anything, but yeah, that would be. I'm such a sellout. I'd probably do it again. Let's be honest.
So, who's the Edmonton goal song? Do you guys have like is it a country or rock song? Like,
no, it's like it's a dance song, man. Someone could tell you what it is. People know it. But it's like just like an EDM like drum beat. I think it might have haze. I don't know. It just changed. It was I don't know the band. It's a song that I would never listen to because it's kind of like not really what I'm into, like cock rock style. But as a goal song, I thought it was perfect. And it's like give me a hell, give me a yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I know that song.
That was the one, dude. And I love that song. I thought it was such a good goal song. But and I'm not just saying this because I'm an Edmonton artist. It doesn't have to be us. I feel like NHL teams in general not even just the Oilers, should look at like local artists and
Dude,
what
I've
people
been
are
saying
doing.
that for the longest time. Like,
Make it hip hop, make it art. Like, it doesn't have to be rock, it doesn't have to be punk, it doesn't have to be like, just look at someone local because it's so unique. Like when you have this, like, we have this European EDM song, whatever now. It just like it's fine, man. But it's like, why not have I don't know. I think you have a real cool opportunity to make it very uniquely your own. And then think about how that translates into playoffs too. Like people have to remember that we cheer for our teams because of the city we live in 90% of the time, right? Like if you, for whatever reason, don't live in a city with a team, then maybe it's like who your parents cheered for. But a lot of the time, it's an identification with you. You love your city, right? And I feel like it's such a cool opportunity to just bring more to it and just get people behind it. And obviously, it would also serve the purpose of giving a highlight of a band who probably doesn't have the exposure of, Nickelback. And I honestly don't mind Nickelback, but they don't need it. You know what I mean? I think that's something I wish teams looked at more. Maybe there are teams out there who do it and I'm wrong. I don't know.
there are a few. So, like, New Jersey, their goal song is the Gaslight Anthem,
Oh
which
my
they're
God.
from Jersey. So, like, that makes sense. And then obviously, like, Nashville has some country song, like the I Like It, I Love
Oh,
It.
they do that. They have Tim McGraw, which is, and it's sick. That fits. I don't know what Chicago's is, but that's like an iconic goal song too. That da 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 da.
Yeah.
I don't know
So,
if
like,
that's
some of those are iconic where you would just get so much backlash if you changed it. But
totally
I think, like, like at LA or, for example, San Jose, like San Jose Sharks, like the dudes in Metallica are huge Sharks fans. The the
easy.
easy. The dudes in the story so far, huge Sharks fans. Like that's an easy, like, it's got to be one of those two bands. Like that should be your goals. And maybe it is a Metallica song. I'm not 100% sure, but I totally agree with what you're saying, and I've been saying that for the longest time on here. Like, dude, a Calling All Captains, like that would be a sick fucking goal song for the
I would
Edmonton
support
Oilers.
that 1000%. I think there's no chance. There's a 0% chance that any city that has an NHL team doesn't have a sick local artist who would be up for the task to make something that fans would love. Straight up. So like work with, I don't know. I just kind of thought about this and now I'm fired up about it.
I totally agree, dude. I've been saying it on this podcast for a while.
I
So
love it. Maybe let's make it a thing.
if we keep talking about it enough, like maybe it will happen. EA Sports kind of paved the way of including alternative music on
Totally.
all their soundtracks. So maybe the NHL will start to catch wind, like, wow, like there's a huge crossover between alternative music and hockey. Let's like give the people what they want. This is what they want.
100%, man. Like honestly, video games have been doing that, man. Remember, like I actually don't play a lot of video games, but I do like every other kid in the world played a ton of like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and like they had
Oh,
so
yeah.
much like that. Like the reason I literally play music is because I was so insanely obsessed with the band AFI. And when they had one of their songs, Boy Destroyed the World, I remember very well. It was on like Tony Hawk. I couldn't believe that the world was hearing it. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome how many people, like my co-host is one of them. He is a hockey fan because of a video game. Like that's why he's a
Oh,
hockey.
wait, that's so cool.
Like, and I'm sure that it doesn't happen much in Canada. Like you're born a hockey fan in Canada, but like here
Yeah.
in the United States, like it really is the fourth or fifth sport in some places. So
Yeah, I
like
know.
that's truthfully how some people here in the United States become, hockey fans or football fans. It's like through video games. It's crazy.
Totally. I love that, man. Whatever it takes, because I do believe that hockey is such a cool, obviously, it's insanely unique with the physicality and you're on skates, which is literally insane. Like it's the most insane sport of all time. And I think that it's one that, if I've dated girls where they're like, I'm not sports fans. We go to a live hockey game, dude. They're sports fans. It's like such a crazy, cool experience. And yeah, any way people can get into the game, I think is a positive for sure.
Hell yeah. So, I gotta bring it up before we let you go.
That's cool.
Are we gonna get any more In All Alone tunes?
Oh man, I love that band so much.
I truly love that band so much too. Like that
Thank you
is
for saying so. Thank you for saying so. I think I would be amazed if the answer is no. There's no plans for it right now. Like right now, stereos is like kind of taking up 90% of my brain, which is a good problem to have. But I think it's inevitable for sure because it's just such a man. I love that kind of music, and to I never like recorded my voice playing that kind of music. I was in pop punk bands all the time, but it was before ever like having a budget to record. So like to actually get that down and yeah. So long story short, man, I would love to put out even a couple more songs. There's no reason not to. I don't know when it would happen, but I would love to do more in All Alone. I still love the boys in the band, so it's kind of a no brainer.
okay. I had it just see if that's still cooking anywhere.
No,
But
I love that.
hell yeah. So let's just quickly plug away. I know unfortunately you guys had to reschedule your summer tour, but it is rescheduled and it's gonna happen in the fall.
It is being rescheduled.
Okay.
It is one of the, I love being an independent artist this time around, but it presents unique challenges. And a lot of people, I think, and I don't blame them, but they really view it through like their own personal scope. So we got a lot of comments being like, restrictions are lifting where I am. It's like, yeah, well, we're 2 weeks out and they're not lifted in 30% of what we have booked. So we don't make the money that we need to make just to leave our lives. Most of us have jobs and stuff still, if we can't do the start to finish and with full rooms. So basically our first tour took 5 months to plan. And when we had to reschedule it, man, it was heartbreaking, but necessary. And so it is going to take us a while to make sure that we can do a proper routing of the tour and everything like that. So the tour, I want to say it's looking like October, November, I think is going to be our sweet spot, Canadian tour. I can't wait for that to happen. It's from what I understand, it's very close to getting done, but there are always loose ends that need tying up. You know what I mean? Like the venue that you had booked for the first one, it's not a matter of telling them, hey man, we're playing at your venue now on this date. You know what I mean? Like, cause it can be booked up already. So hopefully this fall, man, I'm cautiously optimistic, but we're in crazy times and it's really tough to things change daily in our world right now. I know that sounds kind of deep, but it's what I'm banking on, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's like the Wild West. Like a venue might be there one day and then the next day it's gone, and then like
Great point. Yeah, the venue might not even be there.
yeah, and then all of those dates that were planned for that venue are then now scrambling to find another venue in the city, and like it's just bumping things around. And I with our music festival that we have planned, like we have a tour that's coming down, and just helping book that tour, and it was only 6 or 7 dates was kind of a nightmare. So I could imagine looking across Canada would be even worse.
I'm sure you saw that, man. Yeah, like I don't think a lot of fans have know what like a first, second, or third hold on a venue means. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, it's kind of booked, but we're third in line for like another tour that's got there first and things like that, and rearranging. You don't want to have more than like 2-3 days off because again, you're just spending money. And so the logistics of planning a tour are not easy, and we're trying to do it independently. Thank God we do have a booking agent, but it's it will happen because it is I've said it before, I've said it a million times, like it is the number one thing I enjoy doing is the live show. And so it's not a maybe, it's a definite. It's just, when will it be?
Hell yeah. And that's technically your 10 year, or is it like 10+1 or 10+2 year like reunion?
10 years was how we got back together when we did a reunion show in 2019. So
okay.
we're
you're past that.
Yeah, we're way past that. We're old now.
Dude, that's great. Well, dude, it was great to have you on. Well over 100 episodes since we did have you on the first time.
Good for you, man, by the way. Congrats.
Yeah, just keep grinding at it. It's just something that I'm super passionate about. Music and hockey. So to get you back on was truly a pleasure. And it hearing you guys doing music with the On the Bench dudes, which are freaking like massive in Canada, but even like here in the States, like people that are hockey fans know who those dudes are. Like that they're even infiltrating like national media here, and it's so cool. Like they were on like the Spit and Chicklets like floor hockey team or ball hockey
Yeah,
team.
dude, I
Like,
saw that. That was so sick. That's the weekend we wanted to release the song at first, but again, so much stuff got in the way. But yeah, they're doing it, man. They're awesome, and it was a partnership that just made sense, dude. I love that we were able to get the song out there, and you mentioned it, man. Like we were writing this song, it was a party song, which is kind of like I love party songs, but it's like, man, everyone has a party song. What can we do? And right at that point, it was like lockdown, COVID, and times were tough. So we're like, let's write a song called Bad Times, but it's like celebrating them because we know they lead to better times type thing. So On the Bench was like the perfect collab for that.
yeah, and you got to just appreciate dudes that create something from nothing. Like
Totally, yeah.
what they've created, and I'm not too well versed on that, but I'm sure it's like a full-time gig at this point. Like from something that they just like were doing for fun because they're homies, like has now turned into what it has become, and you got to just respect that, man. It's not easy.
No, you're totally right. And like I've picked their brain a little bit on how they got their start, and man, it's so similar to how a lot of bands get their start. They just did it because they thought it was fun. They didn't know if anyone would like it, and that's not what their motivation was. It wasn't fame, that's for sure. It was just like doing something that they love doing. And when something pays off, when it just comes from like the heart, dude, even if it is like just like doing dumb hockey tutorials, like I have so much respect for their success, and like they're doing it, man. I love it.
And I think you nailed it right there, man. Like when you're doing it for the right reasons, and you're like, you know what, I just want to like create something with one of my friends, or like you said, like with dudes in bands. Like I just want to create music with my friends, and then like the people that are taking in your content, like they realize how sincere that is, and that's when like they become fans. Like they just know that you're doing it for the right reasons, and you got to just respect people that are truly doing it because they love it. And
100%, man. How often do you, like, if your team's out of the playoffs, do you start cheering for a team because of one of the guys, because you know his story, because he was like in the minors for so long, or like, do you know what I mean? Like those personal stories about what people put into it, I think builds that attachment. It doesn't mean you can't cheer for your hometown team, but when you have that connection to a story and something, I think it makes everything just more enjoyable, and you want to root for those people for sure. And On the Bench are the good guys, man, for sure.
yeah, I gotta figure out who I'm gonna root for these playoffs, because the Islanders are not in it this year.
You gotta go. You have to cheer for another blue and orange team that had success in the 80s. That's my 2 cents.
So then like who's the, because I'm gonna be completely honest, it's gonna be hard for me to watch like the early rounds of the Western Conference playoffs, because they just start so late. So like,
yeah, I didn't even think about that.
yeah, so like if I'm jumping on the Edmonton bandwagon, like who's like, obviously you got like the McDavids, but who's like the guy that you think I could gravitate towards and be like, you know what, that's a guy that's just grinding it out, that can become like my new fave.
Dude, we have a couple, I would say. I'd say for a forward, Ryan McLeod. I think when he's been, especially with the coaching change, he's been given a little bit more time to play. And that guy is like heart and soul. And there's times where he's skating, and I wonder if it's McDavid. Like he's such a good, clean skater. And I think Zach Hyman's been a great addition too, man. Like that's a guy who has really filled out the lineup. And then Bouchard on the back end, like our defenseman, he is really coming into his own. And I think that these are guys who like they're not household names, because we have the household names. Obviously, like even Evander Kane, man, say what you want. Like he has been, if he were a trade deadline pickup, he would have been the most significant one, I think. He's really transformed this team and given us a little bit of physicality that we've always lacked. With everything I just told you, am I confident that the Oilers are going to do anything? No, because they never do. But it kind of feels like the year where they do, because the last 2 years we've had such high expectations and done nothing in the playoffs, that it feels like this year where, oh God, be thankful that you don't see the Oilers Twitter that I see. Like it was like, you would have thought we were in last place, bro, like all year. And we had some bad stretches, but I don't know. It feels like maybe this is a year where, I mean, it looks like we're going to get a very, very winnable first round matchup, which you got to capitalize on. And if you lose to LA, You know, you don't deserve to be there anyway. So I'm not going to feel bad for him.
All right, all right. So I guess I'll
Give it
jump
some.
on. I'll give it some thought. Yeah, for sure. And I hate to say it, but like I think I might also on the East jump on the Florida bandwagon. Like seeing
I
the
love.
yeah, I think seeing the Panthers go far is good for hockey,
Mhm.
and
I agree.
bring some attention to some of the the Huberdors and like not the big names that casual hockey fans might not know. Like bring some attention to those dudes and like continue to grow the sport of hockey in a non-traditional market. It's so important, and that's what's going to lead to the next Austin Matthews. Like he grew up in the desert, so
Totally.
it's got to happen. And I think that's what can get some of those casual hockey fans to be just diehard hockey fans. Is a nice deep playoff run.
I completely agree, man. And that's one of those things that it's an example of what I was talking to you earlier. There's a lot of players on that team that I really would love to see be successful. And when you talk, like, I listen to, tons of hockey podcasts, and people, like, when they have interviews of players on, they talk about how Barkov is like the best player they've ever seen play. And he is so far from a household name, man. Like, even in hockey circles, he's an afterthought. And then if I watch you just mentioned him, Huberto, there was a game, I forget which one, doesn't obviously matter, but where I was just like, what am I seeing, man? Like such incredible talent on that team that they just don't get that highlight. I think that would be really cool for the sport. And it's a team I don't hate. So, if they're going to win, anybody but Calgary for me, obviously, because I would be absolutely inconsolable even if they made the Stanley Cup final, man. I'm going to be like ill. So
Yeah, dude, that's how I feel with the Rangers. I already got Ranger fans like chirping me, and like I they can go and win a round or two, but I just don't want them going to like the Eastern Conference Finals. And
exactly, dude. You know what I mean? Like, if it
yeah,
gets Calgary in the conference final, I'm going to start feeling like very sick to my stomach.
yeah,
It won't be
same
good.
here, dude. So we're in similar boats. It's the greatest time of the year, even
So
if your team's not in it. So we got playoffs starting soon, and we got some new tunes from Stereos and On the Bench. Go check it out. Bad Days up on their YouTube, and fingers crossed that your booking agent works his magic and gets those dates rescheduled for you guys, so you can hit the road and you know just tear it up across Canada. And I'm not sure when the Junos are, but keep me posted if they give you guys a ring and they want you guys to perform or you're nominated, because I think it's a banger. And when you get that Sportsnet bump, people in Canada are going to be flocking to it. So
hope you're right, man. I will definitely let you know. I appreciate that.
yeah, man, I wish you guys the best, and keep in touch. And let's go Edmonton Oilers, right?
You got it, man. I love that. Thank you. Anytime, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate the shout out and the time to just chat with you for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. Well, I'll let you go, man, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.